Welcome back, everyone. With Daredevil Born Again Season 2 just around the corner, and Kristen Ritter reprising her role as Jessica Jones, and most likely the other Defenders as well, I thought I would take a look at one of Marvel's most forgotten about shows, 2017's The Defenders. So Episode 1 places us on a fight between two characters, some guy in Elektra. No! Anyway, we have seen this song and dance 100 times before, so obviously she kills him. Then Iron Fist shows up and scares her off, and I think this is as good as any time to mention that I haven't seen any of these other guys' shows, other than Daredevil, of course, and they don't really interest me, so half the time when they mention their own shows, I just don't really understand. Anyway, moving on, we pick up with Luke Cage getting out of jail. Why is he there? How long he's been there? Don't know. Haven't watched the show. Anyway, we do get a little cameo from the GOAT, Foggy Nelson, who is coming back in the new Daredevil series because, well, obviously. We see Luke Cage take a bus to Claire's apartment where they wrestle until some chick comes by to talk to Cage about something. Again, don't know if I was listening or not, but whatever. We won't pick back up with him until the end. We then shift focus to Matt Murdock. Yes!
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
He's doing his whole thing in court, and he's doing pretty well at it too. Then after that, we see Karen, and this show is already seemingly way better than Season 1 of Born Again. They go to some diner just to talk. This is also set in the timeline after Season 2, but before Season 3. So Karen knows Matt's identity, and it looks like he stopped being Daredevil, because that's like the writer's favorite thing to do. Anyway, moving on, we see Matt go to Father Lantom to talk about the hoe-ass Elektra. Doesn't really serve a purpose for the scene, so moving on, we then see Iron Fist again, and he's having some hallucinations and yeah, that's about it. So, to round out the characters, we finally see Jessica Jones. She's going home to her apartment, but there's a mom and daughter. She's looking for her husband and asking Jessica Jones to help them. Jessica shoots him down until she gets a phone call telling her not to look into the father. Piques her interest, so she ends up tracking down where the caller called her from. Then it leads her to some apartment where the ground starts to shake. In fact, all of New York is shaking, meaning that all the characters in the show see this and feel at the exact same time. And it is all the result of the big bad of the season. Everyone's favorite alien-killing badass, Sigourney Weaver, playing some character named Alexandria, who is also dying from something. Overall, not a bad episode. Now, not much happens at the beginning of episode 2, so we're just going to cut the chase. It's mostly just the aftermath of the earthquake. Anyway, trust me, you'll thank me later. So we pick up with Jessica Jones, who comes to find the father of the family from last episode that came to her house. He's talking some, "They're coming for me, and you're one of them." Turns out it's Elektra, who grabs him, and he decides to push the cancel button on life. Then it looks like we're going to get a fight between Jessica Jones and Elektra, but nah, she runs away. Are you guys starting to see a pattern? At the same time, Iron Fist and that chick go to investigate some bodies and stuff, while at the same time, some people with some gas clothes come to dissolve the bodies. Then Iron Fist and that chick fight them for a bit. Iron Fist catches up to one of the guys who Luke Cage was talking to in the last episode. Speaking of the devil, Luke Cage comes from absolutely nowhere, and they get into a little fight. Luke Cage is just taking all of Danny's hits until that super punch to the face, where Danny escapes, and so does Luke. The end of the episode shows Jessica detained, and she's getting grilled until Matt comes in and takes her as a client. Luckily, episode 3 has way more going on than its predecessor. We pick up with Sigourney Weaver eating lunch when she's informed that they have the Black Sky, also known as Elektra. So she goes to some underground place to put Elektra in some tomb, and
couldn't you just stay dead?
And, yeah, she comes back, but I gotta say, she definitely surprised me in this episode. When she's not yapping all the time, she's actually kinda cool. Anyway, Sigourney Weaver and Elektra go down to face Stick. Oh yeah, Stick's back, by the way. Anyway, Stick somehow defeats 3 people while chained up, and in order to escape, he cuts off his own hand, and then shows up to Colleen later. After all that, we pick up with Luke Cage and Claire. He's talking about how he got punched by some guy with a glowing hand. Also, Claire knows what he's talking about, so she brings the two guys together, and their banter is probably my favorite scenes in the episode. Eventually, Luke storms off because he didn't feel like that kid deserved to go to jail, so he leaves to go to find the mother of the kid. And it's a really good scene, especially after she finds out her son died. Low-key, the scene gave me some chills. Meanwhile, after Matt and Jessica talk at the police station, she starts to follow him, and sees him doing some acrobatic stuff, but it doesn't really go anywhere. The final few minutes of the episode are probably the best up to this point. We see Danny go to confront the hand head on. Sigourney Weaver is low-key kind of aura farming on bro, and she sends the hand goons to fight him, and it's a really good fight, especially when Luke Cage shows up, followed by Matt and Jones. Then Elektra shows up, and her and Matt's fight till Danny breaks it up. And damn, I gotta say, this episode was pretty solid. Episode 4 picks up the Defenders going to some restaurant to hide out, and where they will hide out for the rest of the episode. Not much to cover in this episode besides just some exposition and the characters getting to know each other. Anyway, eventually Stick shows up and we finally get to hear about the war Stick's been talking about since like forever ago. But all this talk is a little too much for Jessica Jones. She decides to leave and figure things out by herself. But she ends up finding some notes that are dated back to the 19th century. So she goes to talk to the wife of the dead husband, and she ends up noticing that the hand is spying on the woman's house. So she does her thing. Meanwhile, picking back out the Defenders and Stick. Stick's talking about the war and whatnot, when Sigourney Weaver shows up trying to recruit Danny to save the city. And then Elektra shows up and... yeah, Jessica Jones comes out in the nick of time to hit Elektra and make a superhero group shot, and it looks like we're finally about to get a big fight, but nah, they just blew balls. Now we pick up the fight. Also, there's some more henchmen coming. Matt takes Elektra one-on-one because he still believes there's some humanity in her. And it looks like it's kind of working. Kind of gave me some Captain America Winter Soldier vibes going on. Anyway, after Elektra runs away, we see Luke Cage captures one of the members of the Hand and tries to interrogate him. But it doesn't really go over well. We later see a street alley fight with Danny and some goons. Also, Colleen sees her old sensei, and he's about to kill her when the rest of the group shows up. After that, we see Matt go to Karen to tell her that he will don the costume one last time to fight the Hand. We later see Jessica Jones doing the exact same thing with this chick when she's attacked. Then Daredevil shows up, and the bad guy just disappears. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this episode's a little boring. It's really just about the Defenders trying to protect their loved ones and stuff. Thankfully, the last half clutches. We later see Daredevil trying to get information out of one of the members of the Hand, and eventually knocks him out. However, he wakes up later and is holding Iron Fist hostage for all about 30 seconds until Stick kills him. Also, Elektra escapes. We pick up the Defenders when they're trying to find a way to defeat the Hand, but then they realize Danny is the key. So they want to keep him hidden, but then he retaliates and starts to fight them until he gets knocked out. They're bringing him to some place to hold him while they figure out what Danny opens. We also get a nice scene between Luke Cage and Danny. Love their dynamic. Meanwhile, Matt and Jessica Jones go to the architect's daughter's house to ask some questions about something. Matt ends up finding something under the piano, some construction drawings that had to do with underneath the building. Anyway, while they're coming back, Stick turns on the group, knocks out Cage, and makes a decision to kill Danny. When Elektra shows up, kills Stick, takes Danny, and you guessed it, runs away. Elektra brings him to Sigourney Weaver, and she does a classic, "We're not so different, you and I," and then... What? The Hand now works for Elektra. We get the rest of the Defenders in the precinct. We also see Foggy come by to give Matt his costume. Another reason why Foggy is the GOAT. Then the Defenders escape. Also, Elektra is planning to use Danny for something that has to do with those holes from Daredevil Season 2. She's getting him to decipher some words and open a door. Meanwhile, the Defenders take a subway to the building. We then get a fight between the Defenders and the Hand members. We also get a fight between Elektra and Iron Fist, but if I'm being real, it's not that interesting. The Hand escapes, and Danny inadvertently, like an idiot, destroys the wall. The Defenders now have a plan to destroy the building to get Danny and save New York. They end up going down to the hole to fight Elektra and save Danny. Claire and Colleen set the explosives, but then Colleen's old sensei shows up again. They fight, and then she decapitates him, but accidentally starts the timer. Meanwhile, the Defenders make it to the bottom where they fight the rest of the Hand goons. The group reorganizes, fight again with some really weird rap music in the background. Then Elektra has to sour the mood and beat everyone up. After the fight, the Defenders escape, but Daredevil wants to stay behind and try and reach Elektra. Obviously, if you've ever seen a movie before, it obviously reaches her, but then the bombs go off, killing them both, but not really. This leads its way into Marvel's best show ever, Daredevil Season 3, and Elektra is supposedly coming back and born again. So, villains are dead, and we get some Lord of the Rings-ass ending because it refuses to end, but the last we see is Matt being taken care of, which of course will lead itself into the wonderful Daredevil Season 3. Anyway, that was 2017's The Defenders. So, is The Defenders some kind of hidden gem? Well, kinda. Yeah, it has a bunch of flaws, but I really did enjoy this series. I came into this series just wanting to see Daredevil and ended up enjoying the other characters just as well. Lots of callbacks to Season 1 and 2 of Daredevil. The characters are great. They work well with each other. I love their dynamics. I always heard that people didn't like Iron Fist, but I quite enjoyed his character. Also, his bromance with Luke Cage is just perfection. There's tons of action in the series, probably a fight every other episode. However, the villain being the Hand and its members, it kind of sucks. Sigourney Weaver was hella wasted for some cheap, stupid shock value, and Elektra was fine for the first few episodes, but past like 2 episodes ago, she's just been kind of annoying. I just don't care for the character. Also, the plot is just kind of all over the place. I didn't understand what was going on half the time, or what they even wanted Danny for. You don't learn this until the finale, by the way. Also, Stick was wasted too. Wasn't mentioned past one scene after his death. And there was also some other characters I just didn't really care for or even like. However, the series did surprise me with how much I did enjoy it. Flaws and all. I would give 2017's The Defenders a 7 out of 10. The show is still better than Season 1 of Born Again. And speaking of Born Again, I reviewed all 9 episodes, and I'll leave a link right up here, just in case you want to watch it. Probably some of my favorite videos I've ever made. Anyway, I am very excited to see what they're going to do with Season 2 of Born Again. We're getting the Defenders back, and it looks like Daredevil is actually going to be Daredevil in the Daredevil show. So, here's hoping Season 2 of Born Again can be better. Anyway, that's all of our time for today. Tell me your thoughts on Defenders, any theories you have on Season 2 of Born Again. But for now, peace.
Just do it! Make your dreams